Hey everybody, welcome to the garden. I hope you're having a great day. Shout out to the lemon and lime lovers and everybody in between. It's time for a stock highlight video. And if you're interested in any of the services I provide, please check out the links in the description below for both the Patreon and Discord. Okay guys, so we are going to be looking at Tesla. This was recommended for me to make a video about. So Tesla is one of the most interesting stocks around, and what's been happening to it is quite telling. All right, so starting with the monthly time frame, we are on a log chart just because I want to make sure I can see all the information back here. So back on that log chart, we have a couple things to talk about. So Tesla's melting, right? Tesla's been having a really tough couple months, pretty much ever since Elon has agreed to buy Twitter. He's obviously had to liquidate some of his Tesla position, and we've been seeing that in the chart. And what I'm seeing for Tesla as something, I do like Tesla, but I do think it's extremely overvalued. Even now, I don't understand why it's valued so high. On a practical level, potential level, I can see it. Potentially, Tesla is going to be, it's already one of the biggest companies in the world, but it potentially be the biggest company in the world and do the biggest things, best things, blah blah blah. Okay, so I can see the potential. Just practically, right now, I don't really see it, but again, we'll see. People price these things, looking into the future, not in real time. But right now, what is Tesla doing on the monthly? We're breaking down. We've obviously lost this trend. Okay, this was a parabolic trend upside. Had a nice little topping structure here. All right, and now we're continuing to break down even after taking out this little pivot down here on the monthly. And what we can be looking for next is this monthly bullish fair value gap to be the next level that we want to see Tesla get to. So around $91 to $72.51 is going to be the next major level. I think Tesla's going to find some price interaction here. But we can also look at a couple trend lines here that I'm eyeing. So there's a trend line here from the impetus. So this pivot all the way down to here. So grabbing from here to here, let's actually make this red so we know it's off the monthly time frame. So you're grabbing from this low to the low of this consolidation prior to this pump, and then we get the low pivot right here. So let's actually move it perfectly right there. Okay, so this trend line is going to play a role probably fairly soon, over relatively soon, a couple months to potentially a year or so. You'll probably see this trend line play a role. Now, in my opinion, this sort of trend line it's very unlikely to hold. Okay, in the future, I don't know if it's going to break the moment Tesla gets to it. I'm not saying that, but this sort of trend line, it's parabolic. It's a very steep trend line. This is very likely to break at some point. Now that might be this year, next year, 3 years, or 50 years from now. Okay, we may get back down to here and do another staircase up, kind of like we've done here, and we may do it again here. Okay, no one knows the future, but I'm telling you, just based off of the structures I've seen over the many years I've been looking at charts, these sort of trend lines do not tend to hold, in perpetuity for a long period of time. Okay. Now, next, what I'm seeing is this consolidation. This consolidation is also interesting on the monthly time frame. So I actually want to connect this pivot up here to here. So the reason why I want to do this to this is because this is going to also give us another trend line that we want to follow. This may seem odd. Okay, this may seem odd, but what you'll find is these sort of obscure trend lines actually tend to play a role. And this is how I see this trend line potentially playing a role. Now, we have another fair value gap here. Just want to make sure I mark that on the monthly. So it's like a large fair value gap zone right here, right? Okay, so you have these two right here, pretty much almost overlapping each other. So what I'm potentially seeing here is Tesla may have that continuation into this fair value gap, break down, and then ride this trend line here. So ride this trend line here and then break down, and then guess what it may potentially do. What tends to happen with these rising trend lines, especially really steep ones, you tend to have price still trade around them or come back up. And this is what I'm looking to see happen. And the reason why this looks likely, in my opinion, Tesla is very likely to make a new lower high on the monthly. Okay, and for that to happen, most of the time, most structures like this, you want to have a significant level to where you're going to have a lower high from the previous all-time high. Okay, now I'm not saying it's going to happen this far out, not at all. Don't know that for sure. Just giving you a visual example of how this tends to look. All right, so I'm watching this trend. I'm going to keep this trend line here. We'll see how relevant it is. It's probably going to be fairly relevant. In my experience, these trend lines tend to be more relevant than you can imagine. You'll probably see it ride this trend line even after it breaks down from this rising trend line and then holds through to this and then eventually make a bearish consolidation on this and then continue lower. Okay, so, and if we continue lower, what are we looking at? Again, we have a couple levels. We have other bullish fair value gaps to look out for. So we have this one right here. Okay, and we have this one right here that did get wicked into, but it actually didn't get filled completely because there was no closure through it. Okay, so we have these fair value gaps down here as well, and then we also have the top side and low side of this consolidation. So here's the top side of this consolidation right here. So we'll make this red so we know it's off the monthly time frame, and then we have the low side, which is right here. Okay, now the low side we can raise up quite a bit towards right here. Okay, so we can grab the interactions of price from here, still get this candle here, here, and then here. Okay, so I'm gonna ignore this wick, right now. Okay, because I'm more interested in this. Because if this breaks, okay, so if this zone breaks, so if we lose, let's say like $12, it's extremely likely that you break down from here. Now, I'm not saying Tesla's getting to these levels, okay, but the reason why I'm mapping this out is because, like I mentioned in my Apple video, so you should watch Apple if you haven't, the Apple highlight video. If we go into a debt crisis, okay, if we go into a debt crisis, something like a Tesla will be negatively affected to a much higher degree than something like Apple, okay? Because unlike Apple, this doesn't have cash reserves and it has much higher forms of debt than Apple as well. Okay, so if we go into some sort of major debt bubble Armageddon crisis, these are the levels you're going to look at. Okay, you're going to see these prices, and you have to also remember, Tesla's way more expensive than $109. It's way more expensive than where it's trading at. It's prior to all the splits, this thing is probably worth well over $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, okay, per share. But it's split enough to where it's become this cheap. So the numbers here are a bit of an illusion. This isn't really $12. This is much higher. If you look at the grander scheme of things, same thing here, okay? These prices are much higher technically prior to the splits. So watch for Tesla to pull back on the monthly time frame to get back into these fair value gap zones. We should see these zones potentially hold for a good period of time, and then eventually we'll probably break this ascending trend line and then come lower towards these fair value gaps down here to fill out as much of this imbalance as possible, okay? Now, if we were to lose this consolidation, we already see where the next level would be down here. Now, if Tesla were to come all the way down here, then I would be worried of its health. Okay, so in my opinion, Tesla cannot lose this consolidation. Okay, on the monthly time frame, Tesla cannot lose this consolidation here. If it does, there's something intrinsically wrong with the company at that time. Okay, so we want to see it come down, potentially hold this rising trend line, which is possible. It's not likely, but it's possible. Or at the very least, at the best, in my opinion, hold the top side of this consolidation and then start a major consolidation, and then have a nice little pop up to make to potentially make a lower high, or at least make a new floor level, new consolidatory level. Okay. Now let's go down to the weekly, see if there's anything else that I'm seeing here. So weekly just took out this consolidation here, trading under there, getting very close to that monthly fair value gap zone. We are also trading in this weekly bullish fair value gap zone, but I'm not going to put this on the chart because it's pretty clear, and I still think it's more likely we come to these zones anyway. And then on the weekly time frame, we have this level here. But take a look, we already have that descending trend line on the weekly time frame, so we can pop that on the chart. So let's pop a ray right here. So from the all-time high to this level right here. Okay, so we're grabbing these wicks and then getting this pivot here. So we'll make this black so we know it's off the weekly time frame. So this is going to act as this downtrend for quite some time, in my opinion. Okay, for many weeks to months and potentially years to come for Tesla. And that's like the only trend line I'm actually seeing on. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything else on the for Tesla here. Let's go down to the daily, see if there's any more information here. Very extended down. Lost. Yeah, I mean, this is extremely extended down. Lost its base here. It's not really relevant at the moment. And this looks set to come down towards this monthly level here. Now it's fighting at this consolidation currently, but what I am seeing here is potential we do get this little bounce up to fill as much of this imbalance here as possible, and then that continuation to the downside towards this monthly level. This is what I'm seeing. Potentially, we may even just sell off from here. There's really nothing here to tell me that we've bottomed out yet, but if we do come up, here are the levels you want to look out for on the daily time frame. So we have this fair value gap right here, this bearish fair value gap, which is between 135.89 to about 128.62, which would take out anyone who went short, or any stop losses or sell stops, buy stops above this level here will get taken out if you come and fill this fair value gap right there. Then we have another one right here, another bearish fair value gap right here, a little bit smaller. Okay, so and then we also have one more right above this level here. Okay, so this imbalance has a couple fair value gaps we can definitely see get filled, and then we have another one here as long as there's a couple gaps. Okay, all right, and then as we go further back, there's more and more and more on the daily time frame, right? So clearly the daily time frame has a bunch of liquidity that's pulled above its head, but respect that it's very, very close to the monthly bullish fair value gap, and it may have to get there first before it does any major move up to fill out any of the liquidity above its head. So that's as low as about $90 to $72, and then the secondary monthly bullish fair value gap is $70 down to like $55, $56. Okay. All right, everyone, that is it for Tesla. So I have to be bearish on it. It's been just friggin' melting. It's not. There's really not that much I'm seeing here to make me bullish, but we are coming into a zone where I will start getting short-term bullish on it for sure. All right, everyone, remember, if you want me to do a video for you, whether it's a stock, crypto, or even a commodity, make sure to be in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. You'll find the link in the description below, and you can post your asset with the ticker. So post the name and ticker in the crypto stock highlight room, and I will get around to make a highlight video just for you. And if you are interested in any of those services I mentioned, make sure to check those links in the description below, and make sure to leave me a comment so I know whether you agree or disagree with my analysis. And if you like the content, give me a like, subscribe, maybe a share or two. Makes me feel good. And always remember, be patient, be vigilant, and be nimble. I love you guys. Take care.